wanted to talk to you about my new Glock 43. Okay, I have a couple others here to compare. I have a Glock 27, I have a Glock 23. This is my Glock 43 9mm. Both of these 40 calibers have Lone Wolf 42-9 conversion barrels in them, so they're all 9mm. Not that that really matters much for what I'm going to talk about. All of these guns are unloaded, safety checked, and we're just going to go from there. The finish on this gun sucks. Okay, you can see I have Scotch tape over areas where it's wearing by putting it into a holster. I don't holster and unholster this gun a lot. I've only had it for a couple of weeks. Okay, this is week 2, maybe 3. After a week, it had worn almost through the black. You can definitely see wear. You could see it where it was wearing around the front of the muzzle. That's ridiculous, especially for Glock. That's the kind of finish you would expect to see on a cheap $200 pistol that's just kind of a beater gun. Okay, Glock finishes. This one here would be my favorite. I have examples of the 3 different finishes they've put on this. This one is great. This is like the Teflon non-stick frying pan kind of feel and look. It's slick. It's not slippery, but it's slick, which means dirt and grime and crap doesn't stick to it. It means when something hits it, it wants to slide off instead of dig in. This gun's 5 years old and has several thousand rounds through it, and it still looks like a new gun. Okay, the finish is not worn, it's not rusted, it's great. This here is the upgraded or downgraded version, which is still a really good finish. It's not quite as slick, but it is still slick. It still feels very durable. Your fingernail doesn't want to catch on it. So hard things that hit it, door frames, holsters, kydex, does not want to dig in and rip the finish off. Okay. This here sucks. If I run my fingernail over it, you can see, I don't know if it's going to show up on camera, but you can see, I can clearly see where I just did that. And it just takes the finish off. The finish sucks on the gun. So I'm extremely disappointed in that. That's one of the great things about Glock is the finish on it. It's the best finish I've ever seen on any gun anywhere. Extremely durable, extremely long lasting, and it just feels and looks like quality. This looks like spray paint. It's crap. Okay. The next complaint I have about this gun, I'll go ahead and take all the magazines out, is the trigger. This trigger is extremely stiff. Okay, right out of the box, shooting at 7 to 10 yards, I could hit this plate every time, but they were all over the plate, usually to the left of where I was aiming, which was in the center. Okay, this here is a 3rd generation Glock 23 with a factory trigger. Much better trigger. It's a lighter trigger, and it's easier to shoot. This same thing, 3rd generation Glock. This is a 27. I have a ghost trigger in this, and this is about as good as it gets, I think. This is an extremely light trigger. It's extremely easy to shoot this gun accurately. Okay, this one you have to concentrate because the gun starts to wiggle the more pressure you put on it or pull to one side or the other. Now, I'm hoping that they make a ghost trigger for this. If not, I'm sure they will. To give me that 3.5 pound trigger pull, that would be great. Concentrating, I was able to do this here. I fired my first 2 shots and then I hit the staple that was holding the plate up, so it fell. I put the plate back up and that was my last 4 shots in the magazine. These are all 1-inch groups. I think they actually measure at about 15/16 of an inch. That's at 7 yards. That's concentrating. Well, this is a concealed carry gun. It's not really a target gun. It's accurate enough that it could be used as a target gun, and I plan on doing a lot of target shooting with it. But it's a concealed carry gun. It's designed to be pulled and very quickly fired. Now, combat accuracy, even with this, if you can hit this plate at 7 yards with every shot, then that's good combat accuracy. You will hit an attacker's torso with every shot, or at least I would, drawing and shooting fast. Okay, but the easier it is to shoot, the smaller your group's going to get, the more accurate, the less chance of missing. And that's really what this gun's designed for. I mean, these are great fun guns for target shooting. Now, they're self-defense guns too, okay, and they serve that purpose very well. But what I use these guns for, and what most people use all of their guns for, 99.9% of the time, is target shooting and having fun with the things. So they have things like they can fit a bunch of ammo in it, so you don't have to constantly reload, which is great. Interchangeability of magazines, which is great. You know, or you can go with the really long ones and stuff that hold a bunch of rounds. Now that's great. But this, you can't hold that many rounds in it. It only comes with a 6-round magazine. Not this one, we have this one here, and this is just stupid to me. This is the magazine that it comes with that's got the finger, so you can get your pinky on the grip of the gun and give you a full grip. But if they would have just extended the bottom of this base plate down some, and you can see they have room to do that, you could have fit another round in here. You could have a 7+1 capacity instead of a 6+1 capacity. Now I don't carry it with this magazine. I carry it with this flush fitting magazine because it's a concealed carry gun. I carry concealed, and so I want it to be concealed. I don't say, well, I want a concealed carry gun, now I want to start adding crap to it to make it extremely large, because if I'm in a big gunfight with a whole bunch of bad cowboys, I need 50 rounds to shoot, okay? So the ammunition capacity isn't that big of a deal to me, but I really think with just a little work and just a little bit, I mean, they could have at least maybe went with this magazine and just extended this one so you could get an extra round in for a spare magazine. Okay, so I just don't like that. There's something else I noticed too that I don't like about this gun, is the engravings on my 23 and on my 27. It has tape over the 27, so I'll just show you this one. You can see the engravings are very deep in it. On this one here, the engravings are extremely light. I mean, they're almost barely there. You got to catch it in the right light to even read the things. It just seems cheap to me. I don't like it. I think the engraving should have been deeper, like it is in all of their other guns. I just didn't care for it. But all in all, as far as carrying, I was carrying this 27, and I really thought in comparison to this, carrying this, boy, this was light and this was easy to conceal. I mean, your shirt doesn't hook over the handle because the grip is much smaller, okay, which was great. Getting rid of part of that grip, part of the barrel and the slide, the steel parts, made this gun a little bit lighter than this. Now, on paper, it's just a little bit lighter, but when carrying, you notice, especially when you're walking on concrete floor for 10 hours a day, you notice just a few ounces, okay? Just a few ounces. Just saying that doesn't sound like much, but after 10 hours of being on your feet, the weight, the extra weight that you're carrying, you do notice, at least at my age. If you're 25, you may not notice a difference. It doesn't matter, but I'm in my early 40s now, so I'm starting to notice a difference. But this is super light. As far as ease of carry, concealability, this one's thinner, so it is easier to conceal. It stays closer to your body when it's in the holster, so it doesn't print nearly as much as this one does or this one does. And this doesn't do bad. I mean, this is great to carry. Don't get me wrong, but since I started carrying this, I'm pretty much stuck with this. I'm willing to give up a few rounds of ammunition. Usually I have 9.40 caliber in this, and I don't pay much attention to the 40 or the 9mm being different. I think they're both pretty much just as effective, one or the other. I don't feel less protected if I have 9mm on me as opposed to 40. Matter of fact, I wouldn't have carried this gun like this with a 9mm barrel in it, okay, and 10 rounds. So we'll just say, because we're talking about a 9mm, 10 rounds to 6 rounds. I'm willing to give up those 4 rounds in that magazine for the lighter weight of this gun, for the thinness of this gun, the ease, it being easier to carry. Because when it comes down to it, all most of us are ever going to do with our guns that we carry is carry them. We're not going to fire them in a gunfight, and in the cases where you do, most of the time you don't need all of the bullets in your magazine. So, and it's not to say that there's not going to be an example where you do, or that there haven't been examples where you did need more rounds of ammunition. Of course there are, but they're very, very rare, and I'm willing to risk that for the ease of carry with this. But all in all, I like this gun. I wasn't real impressed when I first held it, because it just didn't feel much different to me than this in the hand. The size is basically the same, at least the grip and everything. Now this one's a little bit thicker, but it just doesn't feel thick in my hand. It feels comfortable. This one doesn't feel extremely thin to me. It does feel thinner, and at first it didn't seem super comfortable, like not any more than this, but I've kind of been getting used to it. I like it more and more as time goes on. I'm gonna say at first I just wasn't that impressed with it when I was holding it, and I was kind of thinking, boy, maybe I shouldn't have bought that. Maybe I should have bought the 2nd generation Kel-Tec Sub 2000, which I plan on getting. But I'm happy that I purchased this gun. But the trigger I think I can fix. Oh yeah, the magazine's getting caught like that if you shove it in just right or just wrong, we'll say. If you got it bent back this way, it's fine. If you're, quickly, we'll say, trying to load a magazine and you hit it just right, it doesn't want to go in. And where's it at? It's right here. It's mushrooming the magazines there, and it's doing it to both of them because it's hitting the magazine release inside there. You can't see. That needs tapered, that magazine release, so it's not just a squared off thing when it hits here. It's more rounded and then slides in and finds its place. And it's doing that to both of these magazines. So I mean, you could maybe make the modification on the magazine. I think it might be better to make it on the magazine release. Then you wouldn't have to, let's say you get 5 more magazines, you wouldn't have to modify all of those new magazines. You just modify this and you're done. Then any magazine, whether it's been modified or not, will fit in here without catching. That's something that these other Glocks don't do. You can't get this to not want to go in. Okay, and there is one point where you feel it kind of start to catch, but then it just slips right in. Okay, now that's the way it's supposed to be. That's not the way it's supposed to be. And I don't want to criticize Glock too much. I mean, they do make a great gun, but I mean, come on. They should have addressed that before they released this gun. The magazine, the finish. Now the trigger, that's up to them. If they want to make the trigger like that, that's fine. I guess the 4th generation 19s, 23s, 26s, whatever, went from 4.5 pounds for the 3rd generations to 5.5 pounds, which doesn't make a lot of sense to me, but for whatever reason, that's what they did. I don't like it. A lot of people are modifying those guns to bring it back down to the original 4.5 pound trigger pull. And then even more people are doing like I've done with this one and getting the ghost trigger and bringing it down to 3.5 pounds, because you know, when you get right down to it, we're going to be target shooting with these guns, and a lighter trigger makes it more accurate. And personally, I think a lighter trigger and it being more accurate is better for a self-defense gun too. I mean, if you're standing in a crowd and one guy's trying to rob another, and that guy pulls his gun out to defend himself, do you want him to be accurate and hit that guy, or do you want him to miss and hit you? I mean, you know what I mean? Lawyers like to have field days with that kind of shit when they're prosecuting some innocent guy that was just defending himself, and try and harp on all of the modifications you've made to your gun to make it, you know, extra special, deadly kind of crap. But in reality, as people who deal in firearms and work with guns, use them a lot, know that having a more accurate gun is safer for everybody. Okay? And I think lightening that trigger will make this a much more accurate gun. Because like I say, I mean, that's a pretty good group from a little small gun like this, but you shouldn't have to concentrate to do that. I can do that with this without concentrating, just pointing and shooting. Okay, I mean, not I aim, but I can repeat this over and over with this a hell of a lot faster than I can with this. About twice as fast I can do this with this gun or this gun than I can with this. Now with this one you may say, well, of course you have a longer sight radius, but with this you do slightly. The sight radius is a little longer. Let's see if we can get that in there. I have the back sights lined up, but it's not. I mean, it's negligible, really. Okay, that's not the difference. The difference is the trigger. This gun is a little snappy. I mean, when I first fired it, I was like, boy, that thing's really kind of snappy. But the more I fired it, the more I just realized it's just different than these, but it's not bad. The Kel-Tec, I believe it was the PF9, their single stack 9mm. Now that gun was snappy. It was easy to carry. It was super light and thin and all that stuff, but it was a lot more snappy than this. This is pretty soft shooting for its caliber and size, but just know that it does jump more than this one here does. And obviously this is a heavier gun, so it's going to hold itself down in place more and absorb more of the recoil than this here, because there's just not as much material here or as much weight. Anyway, that's my opinion on the Glock 43. It's not a pocket gun. I mean, not for somebody like me or my size. If you're 6'4", maybe it is, but for me it's not. I think for the average American male or female, it's not a pocket gun. I carry this inside the waistband, and it's very comfortable like that. But I'm happy I bought it. I plan on keeping it. When I first got it, I thought, well, maybe I'll play with it for a little while and then get rid of it, because I really don't think I'm going to like it that much. But I do like it. I like it enough that I plan on keeping it. But anyway, that's my opinion on it. Just wanted to share that with you in case you're thinking about getting one. I'm going to try. You can see I do make some parts for guns. I have others, but they're not all here. Oh, the little plug there. So I am going to try to make my own base plates for this to get an extra round. Not really interested in the whole 2-round, just because then it starts getting away from being concealable. Okay, but 1 round I think won't make that much of a difference, and it'll still be pretty concealable. So anyway, that's my opinion on the gun. I do recommend it if you like Glocks, if you like small guns or need a small gun. It goes without saying, it ran, I put 100 rounds through it. It ran flawlessly right out of the box with the factory lube in it. I didn't take it apart and clean it. And after being carried and getting dusty for a couple of weeks before I even got to shoot it. So I mean, it holds up to that standard Glock sets. It works, and it works well. As far as long-term durability, I don't know. I mean, nobody does. We'll have to wait and see. Will any of these be run around with 50 or 100,000 rounds through them and still working, still not broken? I don't know. This gun, like I say, it's snappier in the recoil. It's got a lighter slide than any of these others, so you know that thing comes back and really hits pretty hard. It's got the dual captive recoil spring, but I don't know. That remains to be seen. We'll see. But that's my opinion on it, and thanks for watching.